Hello, .NET Nuclear subscribers and followers. It has been a long time since I created my last video, but if you are a DNN Hero subscriber, you probably have seen that I was pretty active producing tutorials for that platform in 2015. Anyways, if you haven't heard yet, DNN announced a module development challenge toward the end of 2015 to incentivize developers to build new modules for DNN8. Now, the two main requirements for this challenge were that the module had to be of the new type supported in DNN8, which is either SPA or MVC. And then the other requirement was that it had to be free and open source. So for my entry, I built a log analyzer for DNN. And the purpose of this video is for me to give you an overview of that project. The first thing I wanted to make you aware of is where to find this project. I have a GitHub account set up. It's simply github.com/.NETNuclear. Pretty easy to remember. And the project that's on there right now is called DNN Log Analyzer. You can click into it, or you can go directly to URL/.NETNuclear/DNN Log Analyzer. And you can follow the instructions down here. The easiest way to install this would be to go to the release and find the latest release, and download and install it like you would any other module and host extensions. And then if you want to play around with the code, you can, of course, you can fork my code here, create a fork of it, and you can download this project right here, and it basically overlay this with inside the desktop modules, MVC, .NET Nuclear Log Analyzer folder, and then you can start working with the code and building it. Once you've installed the Log Analyzer module, what I suggest doing is create a new page in the admin under the admin menu called Log Analyzer, and then just simply drop the module onto the page, and you're ready to start using it. Now, what this module does is, notice that the first thing you'll see is a series of log files that you could select from. These log files come from the DNN log4net logging that happens, that they're written in the portal's default logs folder. So every day there is a log that's appended by the website, and all the errors, warnings, depending on how you've set the logging level, go into here. Now, the reason I made this module is because these log files tend to be hard to read, hard to figure out what is, what errors are happening all the time. Because when an error happens on a DNN site, it will tend to happen over and over and over again. And so what makes this tool nice is it allows you to analyze a bunch of different logs across multiple days and see what are the most occurring errors. Let me just show you how this works. I'm going to select three logs. Now, I selected these three because there's a couple small ones, but then there's one that's 38 megabytes. So this can scale from a few kilobytes to, I've done a week's worth of logs that were over 100 megs in total size. And so I click the Analyze button. Now, the reason it can scale like that is, as I'm talking to you, notice that progress bar that's moving. It's using Signal R to talk from the server to the client and to give us constant updates of what's happening on the server as it's analyzing these log files. So what's nice is this gives you a little bit of idea how to use Signal R to do a long-running process. Once the process is done analyzing, you'll notice that it opens up a series of panels for you. Each of these panels correlates to the logging level of the log item that was logged. Now, by default, .NET New comes configured with the logging level set to error and above, I believe. But I had different logging levels set so you can kind of see what it might look like. It buckets all the errors into these different buckets, the level buckets, and notice that fatal would be the worst type of errors. And within the fatal accordion, you can see that it also rolls up the reporting by how many occurrences of this particular exception that happened, and then orders them by the worst or the most frequent occurrences. You can also click read more to see the entire stack trace of any given error. So again, this makes it really nice because you can just analyze a week's worth of logs and see across all of those days what were the worst errors happening, and then you can make decisions on how you can do something about those errors. Now that's pretty much it as far as the functionality. I plan on adding some more functionality in the future. But if you're interested in making a few of the configuration changes in your DNN environment, let me show you just briefly a little bit about that. So log4net is like I mentioned, is the logging mechanism that DNN is using, and it's a file appender. And any of the settings will be found in the .NET-nuke.log4net.config, which right now I'm in the file system in the main root of my DNN8 website. If I open that log4net up, you'll see that it's specifying what the log4net settings. I'm going to do a rolling file appender, and it's going to be a daily appender with this format of the file name, and it's going to use this pattern for how I'm logging things. And here's the logging level. Right now this one's set at warn. The logging level, and you can look up these logging levels on log4net resources, but they're pretty much just like you saw: info, trace, debug, warn, error, and fatal. And whatever you set that at, it will produce any, from then on, it'll start appending any logging information from your DNN website from that logging level and worse. In other words, if I have it set to warn, it's going to log anything that is a warning in the code for DNN, or error, or fatal. If I set it to info, it'll do info, warn, error, fatal. And if you set it, so the higher up you go, it'll just add more types of appending levels to it. The highest level you can go is all or debug, which essentially are the same thing. That will do anything from the debug and higher. So debug, info, and all the rest. So you could change this level here, and you can start getting more information put in your log file, and then when you use the analyzer, you'll see those different buckets that'll put it into. The other thing is, I wouldn't suggest changing any of these things, but if you do change the conversion pattern, which is like an expression for how it's going to log different properties of the exception or anything that you're logging, if you do make changes to this, you may have to make changes to the only module setting that I have, which is in the module settings here. It's the log analyze regex. Again, probably not something a regular user is going to do, but this regular expression correlates to how I parse the log files with this pattern being used. So if you do change this pattern and you run the log analyzer and you notice that it's not correctly producing a report, that's the reason. That's pretty much the functionality right there. I hope it's helpful for you guys. It is free and open source. You're able to contribute to it by forking it and doing pull requests just like any other open source project. And it'd be great for you to contribute to this if you have any ideas. Otherwise, I'll just keep maybe adding on to it as I see fit, and wish me luck in the DNN8 module challenge. Thanks, and I'll talk to you soon.